All right, guys, we are in day 3, and I'm going to be showing you today on how to create your notepad design using Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so we're going to look at different things such as creating the proper sizing, making sure we have the gaps in there we need, how to have a solid line versus a dotted line, stuff like that. Okay, so it's very important you have this portion done. All right, that's what I'm going to be referring to a lot here. I'm going to have it by my side. I'm going to use it to refer to the spacing I want, the size I want of everything. But with that being said, I'm going to jump straight into Illustrator. Right, so Illustrator is the orange one here. We're going to start with new file. Well, first of all, we're going to make sure I'm going to go ahead and just start with the name. I'm going to go ahead and name it Notepad Design. Okay. And I want this, you can see I played with this a second ago, 2.75 inches, which I will be looking up here. If you did your design right, you'll have it written on the side. 2.75 inches wide by 5.38 inches tall. You do not need a bleed in here. And you want to make sure, if you need to click more settings, you want to make sure your color mode is set in CMYK because we're going to be printing. All right, once you do that, you click create document. All right, so this is essentially our notepad right now. Okay, so we have our notepad, and now let's go ahead and what I want to do, I'm going to click view, and I want to be able to see my rulers. I'm going to click show rulers. Now if I look back here, I notice that I want a border that is 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to bring this out, and I'm going to say, all right, there's 1/4 inch there. I'm going to bring one down 1/4 inch there, and I'm going to do that. So now this goes out, all right, 2 3/4. So I'm going to drop one at 2.5 inches and then come down, all right, and I'm going to notice, okay, there's the bottom. I'm going to come up 1 2 3 4 lines, and that gives me my 1/4 inch. Now what that allows me to do now is go over here to my shapes, right? If I don't see my shape over here, all right, I'm going to click the rectangle tool, and now where it intersects, I'm going to click and drag. Actually, I'm going to go ahead. First of all, what I want to do is I'm going to bring it to where it covers the entire thing. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to fill this with the color that I want my background to be. All right, I want this to be like a teal blue color, kind of greenish intent, kind of like that. And then I don't want a stroke, so I'm going to tell the stroke to go away. And now I've got the outside. Now, why did we do that? Because now we're going to add another one. All right, we're going to do the same thing where we go from one corner to where it intersects down here at the bottom, except this time we are going to make the inside white with no stroke. So now it looks like so. All right, so that would be our notepad so far, which is exactly what I have here. Now I'm going to go ahead and do is I want to add notes. So I'm going to add a text box. I'm going to take, all right, and I don't want it that large, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type the word notes in all caps. Now, I've already downloaded. I'll show you really quick. I went to 1001freefonts.com. I had chosen my font, which was Doggy Smart, and I downloaded it yesterday. All right, once you download, if you don't remember, you click that download button, and it's going to pop up right here. You double click. When it opens up, that says True Type Font. Once you open that, you click that install button. Once it's installed, you can do just like I'm doing now, and I'm going to select what I type, and then I'm going to look and start to type in Doggy Smart, and you can see it popped up there. And there we go. We have that. Now, we do not need it to take up all that much space, so I'm going to bring it down. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and create outlines out of it. And what that's going to allow me to do is move it around and make it a little bit easier to manipulate. So I'm going to click Shift. I'm going to make that larger. So what we noticed, for some reason, when I added that, it got rid of this. So let's redo that really quick. I just noticed that. So I'm going to add this in here. Once again, I'm going to type the word notes. Control A allows me to select it all at once. Click my down arrow and start to type Doggy Smart. I can choose my font. I'm going to create an outline out of it. And now I'm going to hold my shift key to make it larger proportional. And now what you're going to see, you can see that little pink line that just popped up right there. And that allows me to know that I'm centered, or should be, there I'm centered. There should be right in here. Okay. Now that we see that same gap on either side. So we've got everything here, and if we wanted to, we can go ahead and select this all and group it, and so nothing changes. And now what I'm also going to do, I wanted to make sure that this had a 1/4 inch gap. So I'm going to go from here, 1/4 plus 1/4 equals 1/2. So that tells me my line should go from there. All right, and then I'm going to come in 1/4 of an inch. So my line should span from this blue line to this blue line. Okay, all these other lines I don't need at this point. But what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to move this guide down. Well, I'm going to add a guide at the bottom so I know where it starts, and I'm going to add a 1/4 of an inch. So you can see is right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. There's where my first one would go. One, and if you're wondering what I'm counting this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. I'm going to just keep doing that over and over again until I get to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, and kind of will let me get to where I need to be. Now, you guys get the point. It gets tedious here. You can also, if you wanted to select these, let's double check. Oh, it's not going to let me do that. So never mind, ignore that. So now that we have that, what we know is we don't want to start a line right there, but we're going to start our line here. So we're going to go over here and we're going to choose our line segment tool. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to click and I'm going to drag. I want to make sure, if you notice that little gray box that popped up says 0%, you want to make sure that's there. That means you're perfectly perpendicular line. And now that I have that, I want to make sure that I just pump the stroke up, which is fine there. And so I have that line there. Now what I'm also going to do, I'm window, I'm going to go down to stroke here, and this allows me, if I want to alter this, I could make it like this. If I want to make it a checkbox, all right, anything like that, and then have something on the other end, or you could kind of do vice versa, where you make it to where an arrow points the different way, things like that. Or if I wanted to do a dashed line, I just check on that right there. Okay, that is the way I would recommend to do it. For me, I like the regular, plain old, kind of boring look. And so once I get that though, I can simply do Command or Control C, I'm thinking Mac, Control V, and then just back and forth, carry these to where they need to be, and just do that one at a time. All right, so you guys should be getting the idea there, okay? And stack them on top of each other. Now, technically, if we add our next line here, which I'm gonna get rid of real quick. We add our next line, 1, 2, 3, 4. What I technically should be able to do is choose just my various lines here, okay? And I'm gonna Control C, Control V, and then it will allow me to drop these and not have to worry about, right? As long as everything, you can see this bottom one sticks out a little bit. So I'm gonna bump that over. Same thing, so that came from there. And that way I don't have to continually figure out. So I'm like, okay, this one is there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that way you can kind of make a little shortcut and make that a little bit easier for yourself. Okay, and so you can see my notes go all the way, pretty much all the way down to the bottom. This last one, we don't need it to go all the way, so I might kind of say, okay, I don't need all of these, so I'm gonna just get rid of the ones I don't need. Stack those on top of each other, and after I click and just get the one, there we go. So there's my notes all the way down. Okay, we're good there. Now we've got to add the stuff around the side. So this is what we look at so far. So I'm going to add dog bones. Okay, so simply like we've covered before, I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to look up dog bone SVG. I'm going to go down to images, and I'm going to just find something simple. Okay, so I'm going to click Save Image As. I want to make sure it's saved as a SVG document. I'm going to click Save. And now when I open this back up, I'm going to click my folder. I don't want the doggy smart anymore. I just want the doggy bone. There we go. See if it saved it correctly. Oh, drop it in here. And now it opened up another document. That's not an issue. So we're going to select this. We're going to shrink it down. And we're going to make sure, okay? So right now, This does not actually have an inside, which I do not necessarily like. So let's do a different one here. So I'm going to close that back out. Let's do a PNG instead, and we'll convert it to what we want it to be. All right. So PNG. See, it's clear. I should have known on that other one. Any of them are that are like that? Okay, this will work. So we're going to save image as phone one. Open our back up. Go under our downloads, Bone 1, and drag it and drop it in. Now, instead, we're going to choose Image Trace. Now that it's done that, we're going to go over to side, click Expand, and ungroup it. And what we want to do is just get rid of that outside. Now we can take these, group it, and we're going to shrink it down to the size we want. And now we can go in here and we can alter the different shapes, the angles, and so back and forth. Now, to make it easy on ourselves, right? We might want to figure out one side to the other. If you let it hang off, that's just where it'll get print cut off, which is fine. But it's just going to be easier for you to kind of make that decision how and where you want them. And I would suggest, different angles, break it up down the side, so forth. Leave space. Ooh, leave space. Now, you see what I keep doing? You can actually go in here and lock certain layers. So if I wanted to lock this, all right. Oh, it's not letting me do it. You can lock layers to where they're not going to move. I generally leave that alone. But if you want that option, we can do that. But we're going to go in like this, back and forth until we get all the way down. Now, you can make that as crowded as you want or not as crowded as you want, or you could just do one in the corner, make it simple. Sometimes simplicity is best. You guys get the idea here. That is how you can do it in Adobe Illustrator. I'm not going to go over as much as InDesign. This is another example. You follow the same thing. The only difference is the stroke panel. Once you get in here, once you create your line, the stroke panel looks a little bit different. That's it. Instead of type, start, end, and this one just to me looks a little cleaner. It's not that big of a difference, but that is what you got. Okay. Now, if you run into any problems, let me know. I'll be floating around as you guys need me. But that is what you guys have for today. So make sure once you have that, you guys are going to have 2 days to work on this. Make sure it looks good. Make sure it's the right size. And then in the next video, I want to show you guys how to take this and stack them all together on one page so we can get the most out of a page, not just printing one of these per page. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to grab me in class.